know what that is? Discipline. Selfish.
No joke. We're legitimate.
Let's fucking do this. Then do it. Do it 100%, because I'm trying to.
We recognize that we are limitless.
You gotta be a champion to become a champion, right? Winning is a habit because we create habits that lead to good execution and success.
Good evening, everyone. The first stop of the NXL European League was held actually this past weekend in the beautiful country of the Czech Republic. The Czech Open was a banger. 20 pro teams vying for the first place trophy to start the season off, and man, it wouldn't disappoint. And there were some big performances, some pretty big surprises, and because of this, we have plenty to talk about tonight. Tonight, Ryan and I are going to break down all the action from one of Europe's biggest events. There were some dominant team performances and some legitimately unexpected upsets. Not to mention, you certainly saw the continued influence of U.S. pro players overseas. So we're going to chat about the surprise teams who took over the event, the teams who exceeded expectations, and those who didn't. How the U.S. pro players impacted rosters and outcomes, as well what the results could mean moving forward in the European League. I'm Coach Mike Bianca, and with me as always is my friend and co-host Ryan Gray. And this is episode 114 of the Coach's Show. The Coach's Show is brought to you. It's not 114. Is it 115? Is it 116? Okay. 114 and a half. Anyway, our Coach's Show is brought to you by our awesome sponsors, Max Sportswear. Charles at Max Sportswear has what your team and pit crew need. All sorts of soft good options you can check out, from jerseys to pants to gloves and even packs. He'll work with you and your team to get you what you need. So get maxed. You will not be disappointed. BKI, the best knowledge in paintball. Sign up at bkipaintball.com and start learning from the pros immediately. Your own mini clinic right there in the comfort of your own home. Go to bkipaintball.com and sign up today. And of course, our newest sponsor, Virtue. Virtue specializes in premium quality paintball gear designed and used by the pros. Their products range from goggles, loaders, packs, and a lot more. Head on over to virtuepb.com after the show. You know what? Better yet, remember how we said we'd keep our audience posted about special deals from Virtue? Well, check this out. The Bunker Kings control loaders, or CTRL loaders, are on sale for $100. You can build your own custom control loader in any size or color for just $100. Details at bunkerkings.com/TCS. The control loader is the only loader that gives you top shell options to hold 200, 220, 240, 260, or even 280 rounds. Check out the sale at bunkerkings.com/TCS. The link is in the show description too, so check that out. All right. Hey, before we get started, Ryan, I want to shoot a real quick shout out to our friend and fellow commentator from Germany, of Black Red Studios, Dennis Allerhelgen. I hope I pronounced that right, Dennis. Forgive me. My German is atrocious. My friend Nick Ripple probably should have done a better job of teaching me. I could, of course. I'm just terrible with languages. But great job, Dennis. And man, your excitement during the finals was contagious. So well done.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot to be excited about, especially at the end there, right? Or kind of only at the end.
Okay. We're going to start right in. We're going to dig right in.
Let's start with the bad, right? Just because I want to get it out of the way, and then we'll go into all the good things, because there were so many good things, right? Yes. Let's just start with the bad. The layout, right? So I have the layout kind of up. The first two layouts Jason's created here in America have been multi-attack dimensional, right? Where you could attack in multiple places through the middle of the field. You could attack down both edges, of course. We kind of missed that on this one. He kind of missed the shot on this one. The Dorito side ended up being really challenging to get outside, which then created a lot of pocket play on that side of the field.
Right.
That wing on the Dorito side also wasn't very fruitful, because if you can't get a guy outside of him, you know, he's kind of just sitting there waiting to die. So it really made where there were only a couple of attack places. You could attack in the snake, or you could attack in the box, you know, kind of next to the snake, and that was sort of it. So the layout itself ended up breaking down into a meta that kind of looked like this. Both teams would a lot of times lose a guy off the break, and then it would kind of look like this. And with this back center guy, you know, shifting out usually snake way afterwards, right? But this is kind of what the setup really looked like in most of the points. What it did is create some kind of boring paintball. It created a little bit of boring paintball, right?
I kind of agree. I certainly agree with your assessment at the Dorito side, right? Even if you did risk it and you did make it out there, the reward was not significant in my opinion, based off, you know, what I saw. Now, I have not played the layout, but it did feel like we were playing a slash, right? We're playing the prime emblem. All right, we're playing a smiley face, right, along that snake side of the field where the two major bricks were, not the wedges, the bricks. And it just felt like everyone filtered that way. And then you put a guy on an island just not to die, to respect.
And this could shoot this also, right? Yep. So even if you got out here, it was really tough to get through this gun, right? It's really hard to get through that. Right. So yeah, it kind of created one of those layouts that's like, oh no, right? And we saw it really early. Like I tried to watch as much of it as I could. I was in Boston at my daughter's college graduation. Well, like had my phone out a decent amount when we weren't doing family stuff, kind of watching the games that were going on. And teams were risking it a lot on Friday. But as we all know, like the layout's going to change multiple times, right? But I really felt like there could have been more attack through the middle of the field instead of stacking three bodies snake way, especially if the second body you sent snake, if you sent a guy into that Dorito who's going to be on the cross, the second guy should be attacking in the snake.
Right.
And I didn't really see a lot of that. I saw a lot of the waiting for that guy to either die or go, and then they would fill behind that guy.
Yeah, I agree. I felt like there was a lot of missed opportunity. And like you, I got to see some of the early matches on Friday, and then I came back and was trying to watch when I could throughout the rest of lots of work going on. And I did watch the finals match completely. I felt like there was, when you talk about using that center, and I felt like we saw a lot of three-man operations that way, snake way, right? But I felt like if you could use a setup, there was a way to use that center a whole lot more effectively than simply sending somebody to the brick to be a lockdown. I felt like there was a way, if you could communicate with your D side guy and understand what was happening from that home over to the Dorito side, you could be on your opponent's side on a couple of situations.
For sure.
It was interesting to me, but I'm, again, not a subject matter expert on it by any means, because I haven't played the layout or really studied it much. I will be actually this weekend. The cats are getting together and we're going to practice on this one. So I saw a great opportunity here based off what I saw to, hey, I bet you there's a couple of different ways to play this, and I'd like to know. So use the practice time to go after it.
Yeah, and these teams, right, they get 4 weeks on the layout.
Right.
So they've been playing it a lot, right? They have a lot of opportunities to see the field. Most of them play some sort of tournament, like the Polish league normally has a tournament right the weekend before. The CPPS for all the English teams has their tournament kind of the weekend before. I think the French one is 2 or 3 weeks before, but again, it's on this layout.
Right.
So the teams get to play a lot of paintball on it, including tournament experience. So I'm sure they all had it dialed, right? Sure. They had it kind of dialed in. But I did think that it was more attackable in certain spaces than we saw. We did see a lot of relatively, if a team didn't shoot a couple of guys off the break, we saw some pretty long points.
Agreed.
Saw some pretty long points.
It was interesting to me, especially from the way that snake was set up. how there were, again, more opportunities to kind of be a little bit more dynamic. And like you said, we slowed down because no one wanted to make that mistake. Right. And I get it. But I just feel like there was some opportunity to be much more aggressive than what we somewhat saw. But
yeah, for sure.
I did see some great paintball. I thought the finals was a lot of fun. I saw one or two matches early on that were pretty dynamic. But yeah, I just want to go ahead and, get that out that we saw a little bit of kind of a lot of the same thing. It was just a matter of who won the gunfight, who looked into a ball is usually what determined how certain things rolled. I was going to, if you want, we could break down the first, the brackets, and we just kind of move through the event, perhaps. You want to try that, or how do you?
Certainly, yeah. Let's do that, because I have notes on kind of several of the teams, and I'll highlight them kind of as we go.
Outstanding. So 4 brackets after the prelims, the prelim dust rather had settled. Only 3 undefeated teams. Ron Holt Dynamite out of bracket A, Ranger Warsaw out of bracket C. Ranger, by the way, assisted by D-side phenom from Paintball Fit, Jonathan Chavez. I think it's also worth noting they had Pasternak, who quite familiar. You and I are both quite familiar with him. And that's kind of a pretty powerful combination, and it showed.
Great pickups. What great pickups in the offseason to understand that, if you have edge problems, I mean, you get, one of the best guys in Europe at that in Maciek, Pasternak, and then you go out and grab, again, arguably between him and Chris Shear, the most kind of intelligent Dorito side players in the game.
Meticulous.
Jonathan Chavez, right? Just incredibly intelligent, makes smart moves on both sides, right? Whether you're talking about Maciek, who also is not like a bowling ball. He's not a guy who's going to spend a lot of time on the other team's side of the field, but he's really intelligent with his gun. He works really hard. He's smart. He's going to make reads and make decisions that usually are going to be right, just like Jonathan, right? So when you have Chavez and Pasternak as your edge guys, you immediately got better, right? And not only did they get better, but Ranger went from being they went up 4 spaces from last year, where they didn't see a finals, right? To come in and win the first event is huge for them. It's huge.
I agree.
Yeah, and congratulations to their coach. I had an opportunity to work with this team last year in the offseason, giving them some ways to collect analytics and create practice regimens around them, also ways to track your own guys during tournaments and those kind of things. And we had some back and forth today, and he sent me a note and just said, "Hey, please don't be mean to me tonight." And I was like, "What would I have to do?" First of all, you won the tournament.
How mean could you be if you won an event?
Certainly. And I said, and the other thing is, man, you had great pickups in the offseason. You had everybody playing in the right spot, and you played the field correctly. So I can't be too mean. Other than saying, I do think they could have been more aggressive. They had a lot of success taking the snake off the break.
Right.
I liked the tempo change between the young man going in front of Maciek and Maciek going first. We can talk more about them later, but I thought they played a really well put together tournament.
No, I agree. And yeah, I was going to talk about the difference between them winning the event and some of the other teams that they met along the way. And it has to do with that tempo. But the other team of the 3 out of the 4 brackets that were undefeated was Ballistics Göttingen. I hope I pronounced that right, but they're out of bracket D. They had Aftermath player Grayson Gladstone, who played quite
great.
well, I might add.
Yeah, he played great.
So, and also we're both fans of that team. Know that crew pretty well. Now, here's the one that surprised me probably the most, Ryan, and that's 5-star. So 5-star won bracket B with a 3-1 record. Now that bracket had 3 3-1 teams. So obviously a brutal bracket, right? 5-star beat out the favored Lucky 15s, who also went 3-1, but they dropped their game against Paris Camp Carnage, who went 3-1. So what's interesting is 5-star, who are from Spain, were ranked 18th out of 20 coming into this season, right? They had veteran U.S. and Latin American player, member of San Diego Dynasty, my friend, Arturo Andrade, assisting them. And he was certainly a force on this layout for them, no doubt. But to come in and put on the show they did very well at this first event, I'm really happy for them. So congratulations to 5-Star on that one.
Yeah, they 5-Star played really well.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like Arturo helped for sure, but the whole team played well.
They did. They stayed alive.
The whole team
right?
played well.
They played off Arturo very well, by the way. The twos behind him and etc. Well done there.
They shot exceptionally off the break.
Off the break.
Yes, they were really good off the break.
Good. Yeah.
So
surprisingly, go ahead.
Hang on. 2 other things because I don't want to skip over it. So Ron Hole Dynamite makes 0 changes in the offseason and comes into the event, wins the 3-man, and I thought really looked the best on Friday.
Right.
They looked really, really good. Made no changes. So it's like they didn't skip a beat, even though their off season is brutal in Norway. Mm-hmm. They show up to the first event looking like they have never stopped playing paintball.
Right. Didn't skip a beat. So,
and then Lucky 15s, right?
Good.
Lucky 15s had a coaching change. So they add Rainey Stanzak to the coaching squad. And they look kind of the same to me. Like it didn't look like Rainey changed too much, which why would you, right?
Well, no, yeah, they were doing fine. They were absolutely doing fine. So that's a valid point. I like that point about, the Norwegian team, having to fight those elements and coming in and look like they haven't skipped a beat. Surprisingly, there are a couple of teams that I have to mention. Austin FSU went 1-3, along with Shock, and then Offenbach coming at you, led by Todd Adamson, just barely made it in on the 10th seed to place wild card, and then were defeated by the Lucky 15s in a 2-1 match in the Ochos. So I'm kind of surprised there. Those 2 surprised me a little bit.
Yeah, if we want to jump into the teams that we kind of expected more of, Shock was definitely one of them I thought was going to do better.
Great.
Breakout Spa, changes coaches.
Yep.
Doesn't bring back a US pro and drops significantly, right? You're talking about last year's champions who didn't make the Sunday cut.
Right.
So, yeah, kind of sad to see that team fall as far as they did. But, they're, first last year. They finished the event. Oh gosh, they don't have it like that.
Yeah, pull it up.
Yeah, I have it right here. Okay. They finish 11th, right? So they don't make the cut.
They don't make the cut.
Austin FSU is another one that I had listed. The kind of ever-changing roster and revolving coaches.
Right.
So there's just they looked like a new team, right? They look like a team with no cohesion and with there only being 3 events in Europe. You're probably not going to build cohesion, right? So they were a team I really felt like needed to play faster,
right?
Because you're not going to communicate well. You don't have enough time together. I thought Markey played pretty well, but it's tough in those situations where you're constantly with new guys trying to figure it out. So, yeah, I think Austin FSU probably finished where we'll see them all year, kind of around that 12 to 16 area. Another big surprise though, Joy Division.
Yeah, a great point. Yeah,
right. A team that finished 3rd overall last season drops 10 spaces, 10 spots, and finished 13th. Right. So really not great. And then London Attrition. I really had high hopes for London Attrition. We did have one of the Red Legion guys, Eddie Vasquez, was over there playing with them, which is awful because he's an amazing Dorito player playing on the way out there. You can't get out on the Dorito side. So it was it's tough, right? It's tough. Yeah, Colin, I saw you were playing with them, and I hope that's true, but we'll see. We'll see. I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'll admit it.
And that's one thing he does, Colin.
I do it every time if I'm wrong.
He will grow live on the show.
Yeah. But best of luck to you, my friend. I hope things go well for you.
Absolutely. And I'm glad to see him. Glad to see him playing it out there in Europe. So
same.
Congratulations, Colin.
Yeah, absolutely.
So very well.
London Nutrition, it was weird watching them play. I watched all their matches, and I kept expecting to be able to pinpoint these things. That was okay, this was their problem.
Mm-hmm.
They lost a lot of gunfights. They looked really messy. Maybe a little bit too much bravado coming into the tournament. It's again, and I'm speculating. I don't know, but it just looked messy.
Yeah. Okay. So last year, I think obviously at the finals in Europe, they placed second, right? They were in the hunt. But before that, I believe they were a mid-tier team. What were they, 11th, 12th?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that because I think they were 11th and 12th the first two events. And then I guess I could look it up. And then they did really well at the European Cup. And then they came into this one. I think you're right. They're kind of riding that momentum. But
they were 11th and then 10th and then second.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I mean that's a big jump, right? Mm-hmm. Between events. So you're probably feeling pretty fired up. They probably are coming off having a terrific practice. Like you said, they're on the layout for 4 weeks.
Had Tom Guest.
They did have Tom Guest.
That's a big difference.
I completely forgot about that.
He's a big gun.
Yeah. Completely forgot about that. Yeah, that to me, it's just, what happened?
Yeah. I don't know. That was kind of my, what's going on with these teams?
Yeah. That's crazy. I didn't realize they had Tom. Who was coaching them?
Not at this event. They had Tom at the last
event. Who was coaching them at this event?
Skinny.
So Skinny left Breakout Spa and is now coaching London Nutrition. Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. I did not know that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe we'll ask Skinny what he thinks happened. Hey, Jason Wheeler too. And Vasquez.
Jason's been there a hot minute.
Yeah. And Vasquez. Okay. All right. I guess I probably should have looked that up.
Got you.
Yeah, I know you do. So Ala Warsaw would defeat Paris Camp Carnage to move on out of the Ochos. And I believe, like we said, we were talking about Todd Adamson and Offenbach coming at you. They would be defeated by Lucky 15s in the Ochos. So the two teams that came out of the Ochos were Lucky 15s and Ala Warsaw. And talk about a team that did the most with their, Ala Warsaw, man. Incredible.
Yeah.
So we get into the quarterfinals, and that's where things, from what I can tell, and I need to go back and relook because I kind of skimmed them, really start to show out with Polish team Ranger Warsaw. I think defeating, the English Lucky 15s coached by Rainey Stanzik in a close match, 3-2. The other Polish team, Ala Warsaw, would put on a dominant show with a win over Ballistics Göttingen. French team LTF with guest Axel Godin would edge out the Spanish 5-star 5-4. That was a banger. And finally, Norwegian team Ronholt Dynamo would defeat Ballerin Factory team, who, by the way, had Aftermath player Cody Woodruff, as well as Team USA and New York Wrecking Crew member Chris Dahl. Not to mention, shout out to a personal friend of mine on that team, Tobias Sell. So Tobias. So
Colton Dahl.
Good to see his face, right? So it's good to see
Colton Dahl.
Yeah. Oh, Colton. Sorry. Did I not say Colton?
His dad. You said Chris.
I said Chris. Oh, well, because I talked to Chris. I talked to Chris not too long. I talked to him in Dover. So
yeah. I also want to note with Ballerin, it's first pro event.
Yeah. Yeah.
First pro event. They win semi-pro last year, come in, make their first Sunday.
Great job. Right. And I feel like that's how it should be sometimes, right? In a lot of instances. You've got that, you're riding that high, you've got that work ethic, you're going after it. And so congratulations to them.
You just don't see that in America, right?
You don't.
When a new pro team comes in, Ballerin finished 7th.
Yeah.
It's not something you see very often in America, right? No. But I think it speaks volumes about that group.
I think it does. And I think, and it might speak some volumes about European paintball in general, right?
Cody played really well too. Colton did too. He played really good, but Cody was really good.
Excellent. And hopefully they'll continue to play with that team throughout the season. And I'd like to see these setups, right? These rosters that we saw at this first event stay the way they are, to see when and if anything changes. So long story short, so let's see, the semifinals were set. Ala Warsaw would face Ron Holt Dynamite, and Ranger Warsaw would face LTF. All I have to say is, what are they putting in the water in Poland? I mean, goodness gracious, right? We end up having an all Polish finals. Ala Warsaw would defeat Ron Holt 2-1, and Ranger Warsaw would defeat LFT. So goodness gracious, there we go. All Polish finals. And I think it's interesting to me that both of these teams, like we've talked about, what were they ranked last year?
Yeah, so Ranger Warsaw, we've already talked about, moved up 4 spaces. So they were 5th, finished the season 5th last year, obviously winning the tournament. Ala moves up 13 spaces.
That's what I thought. Yeah, they were 15th last year. Goodness gracious.
I was going to note that. So that was part of my notes. So 5-star, 6th place finish, moves up 13 spaces.
Right.
Lucky 15s, finish 8, goes down 6 spaces. I'm just giving you the notable ones.
Yeah, come on.
We already talked about, right? London Attrition really didn't. They moved a good amount, but the reality is they took 11th and 10th last year. In the first 2 events, we'll see what happens, right?
Yeah.
And Hugo's in here, and I was going to mention Ala Warsaw also had Hugo.
That's valid.
That's a lot, right?
Yeah, it really does. It really does. And he was putting on a couple of clinics during the event. So
he played really well. And I like the way that he played second a lot going in, right?
Yeah.
It was good. He was really good. Anyway.
But that's the brilliance of playing him there, in my opinion.
Of course.
Having that experience cleanup in that 2 spot, that was brilliant. I thought that was well done. So it's a couple of teams we're missing. Right. So I did hear that Gladiatore disbanded. They're no longer. But
that's where Shock is in that spot.
Yeah, but what about PP Arena?
They're at the bottom. They finished 19th, I believe.
Okay. I didn't see them in the.
Yeah, they finished 19th.
Okay. All right. That's what I thought. That's true, Hugo. It is not often to see you in the 2, but it was a nice touch, and it was well thought out. Was that your coach's idea or your idea, Hugo? Let us know in the comments. I'd like to know. So good stuff. All right. That's kind of interesting. You're kind of seeing it all over the map. Obviously, Joy Division dropped significantly, right? LTF kind of staying in that same area. Paris Camp Carnage, kind of the same. Scalp dropped.
Yeah, Scalp is on a complete rebuild.
Yeah.
So there's 2 guys on their roster that played with the team last year.
I'm gonna explain some things.
Yeah.
Hey, no, Vincent. I think Vincent was talking to me about that earlier this year, that they were on a rebuild. And Vincent will have them chomping at the bit here soon, I'm sure. Oh, excellent. All right. I'm serious, Hugo. I know you speak English, so answer that question. So obviously Ranger Warsaw and Ala Warsaw in the finals, 2 10-minute halves. I believe we finished the first 10 minutes with 1 point. Right.
So just so everybody knows, really wanted to show this match. Can't sit here for 10 minutes and watch 1 point of paintball. Sorry.
Can't do it. Now, I have a note here. I said, readily admit I grew frustrated. So to flesh that out, and I was telling Ryan about this in the green room before we got started. I'll readily admit I grew a little frustrated watching the finals. Again, as I stated at the beginning, I've not played the layout, but I just felt there were a lot of opportunities that weren't taken, especially the second point of the finals, right after that 10-minute point. Anyway, Ranger obviously had some good guns on two of the 2 or 3 of the 5 points that were played. So they were winning the breakout, it seemed, most of the time. I felt like once Ala Warsaw answered with that point in the second half, the first point of the second half in the finals, like, okay, here we go. Now that's what I'm looking for, right? That kind of hyper aggressive look, good guns on the break. They had actually lost a body on the break.
Yep.
They were down 45, and then they just came back and just, wow, they were just hitting some shots, and it was good. So I thought we were in for some real excitement there, and then it kind of slowed down again. But man, what an overtime point. The only word I could use to describe that overtime point is chaos. But you know who's used to chaos? Chavez. So when the dust settled, after the nuclear fallout, Chavez pulls off the one-on-one with superior situational awareness, in my opinion. He knew exactly what he needed to do, where he needed to be, where his opponent was, didn't miss his shot. Game. So congratulations, Chavez and the rest of Ranger Warsaw. But also congratulations to Ala Warsaw for getting to the finals. Well done.
And what a cool moment for Polish paintball, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you have 2 Polish teams and they're battling it out, up until, last year in a pretty well French dominated NXL, right? Like, it was usually the Tauntauns and then whoever, right? Who's going to be the second place team. Now that you have all the Tauntauns playing in America and then spread across many teams, I kind of love the parity, right? Yeah. Like, we have completely different top of the league than we had last year.
I agree.
Like, really the only team from Ronhold Dynamite, LTF, were both in the top last year. I think LTF was 4th also. They were. Yeah. Ronhold Dynamite was 6th, right? But again, that's still at the top of the league. But then you have Ranger Warsaw, Ala Warsaw, Ballistics, and 5-Star rounding out the top 6.
The bottom. Yeah. I mean, yeah, they were the bottom. It's just last year. And look at this, rounding out the top 6 is fantastic. It's a great story. And speaking of Tauntauns, Hugo did answer. He said it was his idea. I got really good. It was mine because I got a really good idea how the field will be played. And also because the snake was not an offensive snake. I also played the D side because I had good survivability. Well, Hugo, well done. Well thought out.
It was offensive, though, that nobody would attack it. Might have not have been offensive, but it was offensive.
It was offensive. Well played. Well played there. So congratulations, Hugo. Well done. So, yeah, man, it was just a crazy kind of, paintball event. First of all, I'm envious of all the people who got to attend because I've always wanted to go to the Czech Republic. I have a good friend from the Czech Republic. I hear it's absolutely beautiful. And I'm jealous of everyone who got to see the architecture as well as that field and play some paintball. So hate that I missed it, but I'm going to, I wish I could go to more of those European events. Like, I'm really upset about Drew that I can't be in France with you guys, but I know the team's in really good hands and you guys are going to have a ball over there. So anyway, I'll shut up about that.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. This will be the first time in 4 years that I haven't stuck around for the tournament. I'm just going to leave and come home. I've got too much going on.
Yeah. Well, real quick, do we want to comment on semi-pro any?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All
Let's
right.
talk about it.
All right. Well, and look, this is not Coach Bianca being mean. This is just, I found it interesting.
It's kind of mean.
I did find it interesting that former pro team Drugs Frankfurt, who hasn't seen a finish above 15th since 2021 in the pro division, with several last place finishes over the last several years, they dropped down to semi-pro and quite literally dominate the semi-pro division. Now, granted, they had guest dynasty player Joe Barrett, who I personally believe, in my opinion, has been playing some of the best paintball he's played. He's looking great here in the States. Obviously, he's doing something right over there in Europe. My question is this, and I'll throw it out to you, Ryan, and then any of y'all in the comments, let me know what you think. is Joe that good? Have the Droogs all of a sudden improved that much? Or what is really going on in the semi-pro division in Europe?
I think it's a combination of things. They also did have Evan McCarty, former Team USA player, and he's really very talented young man.
Good point.
I don't think the semi-pro division is very good.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's very good. I mean, you saw pro team coming at you came to Tampa.
Right.
They played the first US NXL in semi-pro, and I don't think made the cut.
Wow. But then you look at Ballerin, right? They came out of the semi-pro division and you know they're doing well. Maybe that's a testament to the program as opposed to the division itself. But I just remember seeing a lot more parity.
But they won their way in.
That's my point, right?
Yeah.
They won their way in, but I feel like, yeah, I'm kind of surprised in the semi-pro division.
Yeah, Offenberg coming at you came over and played in the semi-pro division in America and got 22nd.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see. 5-star 2 took second to Droogs Frankfurt. The Toulouse Black Blues third, and Jets Oresund. Someone pronounced that better for me. I know they're from Copenhagen, but I don't know much about them. So, matter of fact, that's the British. Let's
5-star 2 also had many Americans.
oh, does it?
Many Americans.
Okay.
There is one Spanish flag on this roster.
I'm pulling it up and it's like, hang on a second. Don't leave. I want to see this. So
yeah, Kyle Breathe, Andrew Benitez, James Cruz, Steven Mazurik from
Aftershock. From Aftershock.
Aftermath.
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, Ken Nunez. I mean, this whole roster is Elias Santos. Yeah.
That's too funny.
Yeah, a pro. So great question.
What do we got?
How does a pro player play semi-pros due to points? No, each semi-pro team can have, I believe, 2. Is it 1?
I believe it's 1 now. Pros. Remember, the rules changed last year to where they're only allowing 1 pro, American pro, on each European team.
No. Oh, that's right. Yeah. So, including semi-pro, you can only have one US pro.
Yeah. So that's the rule. So, but yeah. Oh, I think that's interesting. And if Hugo agrees. He says, yeah, it's only one pro.
Yeah, forget about that, Hugo. I'm not smart. I'm also sick.
You're sick. Just a little brain fog. That's all there is to it. So, yeah, I would have liked to have maybe, watched, but I think Ryan and I both agreed that we just couldn't let the audience. I mean, we could have fast forwarded it and maybe just shown the second half of the finals. But, yeah, I think we decided that we weren't going to let y'all watch that first 10 minutes, but you really want to get the full content, right? So kind of see what's going on. Maybe we'll revisit it sometime and we'll talk about what could have happened that's what we should do, Ryan. We should come back and maybe say, hey, at this point, this is what could have happened, from a
communication. I need to see the layout personally before I can really do that.
I'll tell you all about it after this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, but you and I look at it different.
I completely
look at it the same way.
I know, but listen, Hugo says you are very smart.
Oh, thanks, pal. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Yeah, some really some notable things. So when I was in coaching in Europe a few years ago, there weren't very many American pros. In fact, I think the year I coached FSU, there were only 3 US pros who were playing with teams over there. Now, if we include the French guys who are playing on a US pro team,
a lot.
I think all but 3 teams have a US pro.
Yep. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And why wouldn't you, right? It's like it's like a weapons race, right? You know, if we know that our opponents are doing this and that it's that significant of a force multiplier, you almost feel required to have to do it, right, in order to remain competitive. So it's something that if you've got the money to do it, you should be doing it. Totally agree. not just for the event though, because that pro can take a look at your system, take a look at your program and your players, and give advice and talk about, hey, this is how I do things. Maybe you might want to look at this. And so there's a lot of insight that comes from that. And I'm not saying the Europeans don't know how to. I'm not saying that. We've already seen the European pros are leaps and bounds ahead of where they were just 4 or 5 years ago. It's incredible to see how much better they've become and how competitive they've become. But I think that's something that it's not just a weapons race, right? It's an intellect and kind of a process space. So
yeah. I mean, it's a tool. It's another tool, right? It's one of those things like it's doing a clinic. You just get to do it in the tournament, right? And a lot of times those pros leave that team. They took something as well. It's not like the US pros are coming in and, you know, guiding all of these ships, even though I do think they have their hands in it. You know, I think there's a picture showing Chavez literally holding a layout in one of their photos. But again, that's what you want, right? When you bring these guys in, especially the expensive ones, you want to have somebody who's going to help you guide your ship, who's going to help you to create the appropriate game plans based on what they feel from your team. And it's not just, hey, this is what I think. It's here's what I think because I think that's really important. And all of these guys are those guys, right? They can all do that.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think it's really important. Also, I want to note that like one of the biggest things to the tempo that I saw again was layout driven, right? Usually like I was really hopeful that they would have a layout kind of like what we've seen in America.
Sure.
And I'm sure that was Jason's intent, right? Was to create this really fast ballistic layout.
Right.
Because I think if you put the US team or sorry, the European teams on the layouts like we've had over the first 2 events, I do think we would have seen more points played.
I think he was seeing a lot more dynamic. Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Because for a couple of reasons. One, new mercy rule, right? And then 2, they get an additional pod than they've had in the past, right?
Right.
So I thought for sure we were going to see more high tempo games, right? Now we had a few bangers, right? Where there were 8-9 points played. Mm-hmm. But gosh, in America, we've seen like our average has been like 10 to 12 points played in a match, right? So I was really thinking we would see more up tempo stuff. Team member. Yeah, absolutely. Good point, Grayson.
You beat me to it. I was going to point that
Grayson
out.
Gladstone says it's important to come in with the mindset as a team member with input for sure, right? You don't want to come in, take over, destroy the chemistry, and culture of the team. That's certainly not the move, but yeah, getting into a team, making friends, being a part of their culture, melding in, but then providing valuable feedback and valuable input when it's time to talk about how we're going to play the layout and different shots off the break. And, you know, I was a little surprised there was such a cool dead zone on this layout. I only saw a few people playing it on the
side inside of the tower.
Yeah, because it's right, but you can shoot the snake guy.
Yep, 100%.
Right? You shoot the snake guy, and and most teams were losing a guy off the break anyway. So I didn't understand why more teams just didn't roll, like put that guy in the blind zone, let him shoot their first a snake guy, right? And then you trade your guy who might be your back center guy.
Right.
Right.
And then your 2 have
you're 2-on-1.
Yes.
You're 2-on-1 down that wire.
All right. So we do think a lot alike because that's almost exactly what I was thinking during a lot of the opportunities that I talked about when I was watching. I was like there was a couple teams I saw, they would have that home player, right? And he would slingshot all the way around the two and then go into the snake corner. I'm like, there's an easier way to do this. I just felt, but anyway, and again, maybe I didn't, maybe there's something I couldn't see from where I was, but I just felt like they were making it a little tougher on themselves than they needed to.
Agreed. Yeah. Like, I kind of feel like if you're going to start a game 4-on-4, like put that guy who's going to die in a space where has a higher probability to get it killed. To
take someone with him.
Yeah.
Right? And like, here's the thing. I definitely trade that inset versus the one.
Totally. And then you're not trapped in that back center.
There it is.
Right. Kind of do it like just waiting for things to happen. Anyway. Yeah.
And then getting a position to lock it and then have you snake to yourself. So
the amazing position to have 2020 hindsight is always
it's easy
great,
for you and I.
Right. Yes. To be able to be on this side of it, breaking it down.
Oh, of course.
It's a lot easier. Yeah.
No doubt.
It's a lot easier.
No doubt. But it was good.
Let's talk about breakout spa a little bit. So I do think they looked much less aggressive and they were messy, right?
Well,
like
let's do this. I want to. Do they have the exact same roster though?
It's pretty close. I saw.
So they got 7. I'm looking at 7. I want to compare.
Tata and Deshane.
I want to look at their one from.
The little snake kid is in there.
Yeah.
Adrian.
Yeah. So they got Dushan. Okay. They Blase's new. Geiger. They have Geiger.
That's Data.
Knopf.
Baba.
Yep. It's all the same.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, well, they had Chris Shear last year. So,
I said that earlier, right?
Like I know. I'm just saying. I forgot about Chris.
And they had SK.
And they had SK. So they replaced Chris with Blase, I guess. But everybody else is the same, and it doesn't look like they really had a coach.
Yeah, Baba's the Dorito guy, and he's really good. He's really good, but it's hard. You can't replace Chris Shear.
Well, and even if, right? So we were talking, we're kind of alluding to that earlier. You pick up this dynamic Dorito player, but the Dorito side's not productive.
Yeah, but look where we saw Chris Shear with them in Paris. He played.
That's what I get. Right. And it same, right? And you look at this and you can play like Joe was over on the snake side a lot. So, I think you could, that's the thing of bringing an American pro in, because you and I have talked about this. We've had this conversation a lot of times. There are specialists and then there are paintball players, and those paintball players can play anywhere. And back in the day, we used to call them insert players, right? Now I think a lot of people recognize the fact that, okay, yeah, this guy's a specialist. He's really good at this, but on certain layouts, you can unleash him, right, on a different side of the field because of a skill set he brings. So I think that's, people need to be looking at that. And I mean, I realize I'm stating the obvious, but just something to think about.
Are the brackets up for the next one?
Looking back, we definitely could have.
No, they're not.
Oh, you mean for that? No, I don't think so. Yeah, they don't do it that quick, I think, in Europe, right?
That would have been cool.
That would have been, because when we could have talked about future matchups in the prelims. Because they do have it. You can, they don't have, they just have the teams. They don't have the bummer. Okay.
Grayson says the draw is tomorrow.
Thank you, Grayson. Appreciate it. I got nervous there a minute. I was like,
yeah, so did I.
Not a political show, but fun fact, Trump is sending 5,000 soldiers to Poland. Are they all going to play NXL? No, but it would be cool if they went and watched. So that'd be cool. So,
that would be cool.
Yeah.
They'd have a blast.
They would. 100%.
They would have a blast.
No pun intended.
All right. Let me see if I'm missing anything in my notes.
I'm through mine.
Scott Stewart. Talked about Scott. Talked about Eddie. That's all I got. Anybody got any questions?
Any questions real quick before we wrap it up? Pretty quick one tonight.
Yeah, sorry, guys. I'm pretty sick.
Ron Holt. We talked about Ron Holt.
We did. And Ron Holt, again, they were addition by doing nothing, right? Making no changes. Again, I think for like the second or third year in a row, Dynamite really makes no changes. Looked absolutely outstanding. And
coming from Norway, where the weather, obviously, it was an issue. It looked like they had skipped a beat. We had talked about that. So I think Ron Holt's looking really good. I think they're going to be a tough team all season.
Yeah, and honestly, just keep kind of looking better and better every year. Every year.
Agreed. They're fun.
Yeah, excited to see you guys continue. If you are with them, I think you are. Excited to see you guys continue to progress. It's been a fun journey to watch.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
And I have a good friend who lives in Norway. So great medal out of Norway, by the way, too.
I would like to go back to Norway just to eat the food and drink the water so I could feel better.
I'd like to go to Norway and then, of course, look at the beautiful sky and stay in an igloo and do that whole thing, right? The food and everything.
Dude, it's one of the most beautiful places I have ever been.
I'm going. It's on my bucket list.
The ski jump museum thing is cool. Like the whole fjord is beautiful. Like it's an amazing place. It's an amazing place. Mountains, beaches, beautiful blonde women everywhere. Cool people who are happy.
Yeah, because of their medal.
Happy. Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty great place.
Lake Bodom. Anyway,
I got nothing else.
All right, fishing. Yes, 100%. I got nothing else either. So why don't you get some rest so you can start feeling better? By the way, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think we're going to do it again. I think the Coaches Show may move to Thursday of next week as well. And the reason being is obviously we want all of you to have a wonderful Memorial Day. It's very important. That holiday is very important to myself and to Ryan's family as well. So we will more than likely we were going to have Kyle Spica, but we'd imagine Kyle Spica probably wants to celebrate Memorial Day as well. So Kyle, if you're listening to this, we'll probably be calling you soon. Love to have you on the show Thursday and we'll talk about some things. I'm really anxious to talk to you. I know Ryan is too. So we'll get to hopefully have Kyle Spica on the show next Thursday. So everyone in the meantime, please have a wonderful and respectful Memorial Day. What you working on, Ryan? You over there typing?
Kyle Spica.
Just writing a note. So I'll text him.
No, he responded.
Okay. All right. Good deal.
Yeah. So they have WCPPL, and they normally do a team meeting that night. So anyway, we'll work it out.
We'll figure something out.
Either way, next Thursday, we're going to have a show. And then hopefully the following Monday, we'll have Kyle Spica.
Yeah. Sounds
Either way, congratulations to Ranger Warsaw, Ala Warsaw, Ron Holt Dynamite, LTF for your finishes. A lot of fun. I am going to find a match from the tournament that we can bring in. I have watched most of them. I have not watched them all yet. I'll find a fun match and we'll bring it in. I saw a lot of comments about the LTF 5-star match. So maybe we'll bring that one in and talk about why LTF was able to come back in the fashion that they did in a minute and something I saw in the comments. Maybe that's the match we'll bring in. So
I like it. Let's do it.
We'll find a match, bring it in. We'll break that one down. Thank you all for joining us tonight for episode 115 of the Coaches Show. Thank you to Major League Paintball, Major League Paintball Plus, Tom Cole, Kevin Fillers, Darren Success, and Amanda Maltz. Thank you to Max Sportswear, Virtue Paintball, and BKI for all the love and support. See the description above or below for all the deals from Virtue that we have right now. For Mike Bianca, I'm Ryan Gray. As always, be responsible.